I'm in the town of Bedford, and just outside it is the modern Norse Road Cemetery. Now, this cemetery was only opened in 1987, so we're only going to see memorials which are less than 40 years old. Let's have a look and see what it's got. As you come in, you can see the main chapel of rest. You are seeing it on a very misty day, not at its best. And all around here we just have open grass areas. And further in we see the crematorium and what they call the burial chapel. And behind a row of trees we come across the cemetery itself and the garden of remembrance. As you can see, although it's only been opened some 35 years, there are a lot of memorial stones here. There are a number of these walls of remembrance. This one seems to be Italian families, I'm judging. Rocco, Cepidi, Ciucciolo. And each one of them has a portrait of the person. This one also seems to be for the Italian community. It just may be the style that they prefer for remembering their relatives. This one is to husband, dad and granddad Douglas Springett Quay. And underneath we have his wife Elsie Quay, a respected pastor, and a dearly loved wife, mum and nana. It is very cosmopolitan here. This looks probably Polish in origin. And nearby is this one which I simply can't read. Is it Russian? Let me know. Pedro was born in Argentina and died in Bedford. Albert Richard Grace and their grandson Albert John Chandler have their football colours pinned to the gravestone, and this is for Sunderland Football Club. A lot of the memorials have portraits of the people, but most of them aren't quite as large as these two. More commonly we just get a small portrait of the people. It's very much the style here is to put a small picture on the stone. As you look down the line, you can see that even these small memorials have a tendency to tip as the ground settles. I noticed in a cemetery recently the policy was to build a ribbon of concrete right the way down, and then the memorials rested on a solid foundation, and it seemed so eminently sensible, and it just kept the graveyard looking so much neater and tidier. Lieutenant Colonel Francis R. Siborok of the Czechoslovak Army, 1914 to 1993. Here's another of these memorial walls, and again they seem to be Italian in names. This one was very much a fan of the Italian football team. We can see the figures on the right hand side dressed in the blue, and then we've got a symbol of the World Cup, or model of the World Cup, on the left, and football down on the right, and various other football mementos. Nicola Bosco, Nick to his friends. An area here with again these walls with names on it. I think probably the urns containing the cremated remains are in there. I don't know for sure. Flowers, and so many of them as you look all the way down. And then some very large tombs in front here. And again, the inscriptions are pointing us towards Italian or similar from the names and the language. Giuseppe Bulzis. And then this one here. And just look at the way that these are cared for, with the flowers on so many of them. Some fresh flowers, some silk flowers. But somebody comes here and looks after these memorials. I've now entered another area of graves. A little different. This has the very large dove and the olive branch. I do like it when they put an image on the gravestone of something that interested that person in life. Here we have a horse and a carriage, quite an upmarket sort of carriage. And this is Richard Francis Driver, 2002. And we have another area with these memorials. Each one has the name and the portrait, and each one has been looked after. There are flowers on just about every one of them. Here is a wall of remembrance with much smaller plaques remembering the person. These would have been cremated. Let me just show you some of the names on here. Another garden of remembrance. There are names all along the edges of the paths, on the pillar there in the middle, around the lily pond, and over the back there's another large wall with many names remembered. And here there are different types of memorials. What they have done here is put in the concrete base that I spoke of earlier, a concrete path, and then the memorial just rests on that concrete base, much firmer, doesn't sink into the ground and remains upright for many decades. Just a couple taken at random. You can see the details on the memorial plaque. The one on the right has a model car, and the one on the left has elephants, dogs and robins. Another area is for Muslim burials, and as is their tradition, the area is often fenced off and turned into a miniature garden. Now lots of these plots just have a simple post with a small name plaque, although there are larger memorials here. This one has a simple inscription, date and age, and then the area has been planted out with fine grass and 2 miniature trees at the front. There is a large elaborate stone naming the person, and then they've planted it out with colourful flowers. Nearby we have the children's graves. This one clearly cared for, although she died some 20 odd years ago. Leah Rebecca Gerald, born asleep. And even more of the children's graves. Over at the back we have a whole area hedged off with a gate and an arch and the name Sands and a picture and a silhouette of a baby on the gate. The plaque tells me that this is the Sands Memorial Garden in memory of all babies who have died before, at or soon after birth. I assume Bedfordshire Sands is a company, but this is an area dedicated to those that are stillborn or not alive for very long. There are so many different areas in this cemetery, and I don't think I've been here before. But again, it's full of very large tombs and these walls of memorials. And again, the flavour is very much Italian, although not exclusively so. So clearly Catholic. And you see alongside, these three are waiting to be occupied. On the front edge, it tells us that this is reserved and will become somebody's tomb in due course. And then it will be finished off with the marble stone as the others around it. And alongside that, in this grassy area, is a collection of Jewish graves. You can see the Star of David and the word Shalom on at least 2 of them. Let me just show you the detail of this one. Abraham Landman, 2016. This one is to Squadron Leader Gordon K.F. Wade, Distinguished Flying Cross. He was in the Royal Air Force during the Second World War, and then flew for many years with Aer Lingus and later with Britannia. Died aged 88, and then his wife Helen Valerie Wade. Just a very different design. It stands out. I'm not quite clear what it signifies. Sonia K. Bunting, 1947 to 2009. An original design of memorial with 2 upright stainless steel pieces, and in the middle a reinforced piece of glass, and the inscription is engraved on that glass. Nice to see something different, an original thinking. Well, I'm going to leave this cemetery at this point. Although it's only some 35 years old, it's very full. A lot of interesting memorials. It's a complete labyrinth. I think I've covered most areas, but I can't be sure. So there's plenty to see. Till the next time.